Now we have got the MP for Bury North, and it's James Frith. We asked you to come on and talk about Bury Football Club, but if I may, good morning.
Hi, Nicky. Hi.
Can I ask you about this breaking news? I don't know if you've heard it. I'm sure...
I've not actually, but do by all means, yeah.
The government will hold its next Queen's speech on October the 14th, 3 days after the next EU Council, and is expected to prorogue Parliament from around the 10th of September until the 14th of October. This means that MPs are unlikely to have time to pass any laws that could stop the Prime Minister taking the UK out of the EU without a deal in place. Number 10 source said, business as usual. It's time for a new government and new Prime Minister to set out a plan for the country after we leave the EU. It's just the stuff we do, but of course the knock-on effects and the implications of it are significant. I hope that was clear. I know you've only just heard it and you've got to digest it. What's your initial reaction to it?
Well, that's a disgrace. I mean, the Leave campaign was about taking back control of Parliament, and Boris Johnson is now going to shut Parliament down. That's not in anyone's view of parliamentary sovereignty, and it's a disgrace. I should think he will receive an enormous backlash for that. We're a parliamentary democracy, and Parliament is sovereign. At no point should there be a proroguing of Parliament at a moment in our history that is as definitive as this on whether or not we leave the European Union and how. It's a cowardly act from a Prime Minister that hasn't been elected by the British people, and is ignoring the majority will of the people that either want a deal to leave the European Union or want a second referendum with Remain as an option. So I'm stunned. I'm not surprised, because we've got a trickster stunt man in Parliament, in number 10 rather. Very, as you say, literally just heard it for the first time from you. I've been dealing with Bury Football Club for
I understand
months.
That, and I
straight off calls.
I really appreciate you addressing it for us this morning. As you can understand, we want to get our listeners' reaction to it. We'll have our political correspondent on shortly. Just before we speak to Tom, our political correspondent, we'll get your views on Bury in a second. But that's why we asked you to come on. But number 10 of this story, number 10 says it's all business as usual for a new government. That's what happens after a Queen's speech. But of course there is a political side effect, isn't there?
Yeah, but look, a Queen's speech should be a statement of vision and intent for Parliament's term. If the Queen's speech is right, everybody, we're closing up for a bit. It's just not acceptable. Look, part of the problem we face as a country is that Brexit has dominated the bandwidth of Parliament. Nothing has been done for 2 years by Theresa May and her government, and now Boris Johnson's first act is to close down Parliament. I don't think your listeners will believe in that as a way forward for our country.
How do you believe that senior Tory rebels, if you want to call them, are likely to react to this?
Well, they'll be dismayed.
They'll be dismayed. Those such as Rory Stewart were very outspoken.
And actually, not just Rory Stewart. There were people that are now in Boris Johnson's cabinet that you need to ask as to when they were fancying themselves as the leader of their party and the Prime Minister. They dismissed the idea of proroguing Parliament as undemocratic. What are they going to do? So, I expect some resignations from cabinet level on a proroguing plan. It's a total disgrace. And in the meantime, all of the issues facing our country get completely ignored and neglected. It's a shocking statement of where the Tories have taken this country and where they've taken our Parliament to be confronted with this now.